welcome to the show. How's everybody doing today? We're back on Rockapedia. Sorry to catch you with your pants down there, Joe.
What?
Wait, what happened?
Say it isn't so. What's going on? What's going on, brother Joe?
Oh, just hanging out with the cat.
Nice.
Hey, so let's touch on what we talked about last week as far as your radio name. So we discussed, thanks to Sir Rick, we got Rick involved per Dylan, and Rick had a great idea. I thought it was appropriate. I thought about it. The first night I heard it, I didn't like it so much, but the next day it kind of grew on me. So I like Gypsy Joe.
I don't think we can afford to lose one single listener.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's the racial thing. If you look up the history of the word gypsy, it's not, it's a derogatory to say the least. But I don't know. I think we could get away with it. The other one I thought of today on the way to work was Josephus.
Josephus.
That sounds very country music.
I know.
Like
but
Josephus.
Huh? I know,
But it's music.
Hey, where did that come from? Somebody came up with that we know. Who came up with that?
I want to say it was Granddad.
Josephus? It wasn't
Was
Ed, it wasn't Ed Magruder.
No.
No? Okay. I was thinking it was one of our buddies that came up with Josephus.
It was prior to Josephus.
Okay, so what do we want to go with here?
Well, I kind of
You're
like
probably
Josephus,
a
but I also like Gypsy Joe, so it just kind of depends. I feel like it's up to you at this point. This is its own game. So.
I had the word gypsy on my Instagram account, and I had to take it off.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, I took it off because it's just, if someone's offended by it, I don't want anything to do with it.
Huh. And I'm looking at myself here. I look short, so I'm going to raise my chair up a little bit.
Yeah, go for it. I mean, I can lower mine and be equal. I feel like I lowered it quite a bit, but anyways, we are here on Rockapedia, and today we're going to be talking about Quen, the ever famous and ever infamous Quen, the people who really brought a lot of big band influence into rock and roll music, or at least overtly brought it into it. I know that rock music, in theory, was influenced by big band, but Quen really brought that to the forefront in pop music whenever they came into the music scene.
Well, who would have ever thought that Bohemian Rhapsody was a song you could play on the radio?
Yeah. And the whole...
That is a minor miracle.
Yeah.
I mean, it's unbelievable. I mean, that started it out. After that, I mean, if you're Quen, or you're the record company or the manager, and you get them to play that on the radio, now where do you go from there?
That's the thing, yeah. Well, and originally they weren't even supposed to play it on the radio. The record company refused to put it on the radio. And so what happened was one of their friends who worked at a radio station, they had given a copy of the song to before it was released. And they were like, hey, don't play this until the album's out. And then he proceeded to play it 14 times over the weekend. And everybody who was listening to the station was like, oh, that's a great song. We want to hear that again. Where is it? Where is it released? We want to hear it right now. And so that shot the single into the sky there. And it was also, whenever they made the music video, it was a $4,000 or £4,000, I should say, music video. And it only took them 3 hours to record it.
Do you remember watching that video,
That's
Joe?
amazing. Yeah, I remember seeing it on a midnight special.
On the midnight special, yep. So back in the day,
and I remember the first time that I heard that song. I was a kid, but I just thought it was a weird song.
Yeah.
I was like, I thought it was funny.
it was. Yeah, it was. It was
that kind of stuff. Like it was like, what is that? Like.
It was weird, but it was also mesmerizing. You couldn't. It's like a car wreck. You can't take your eyes off the dang thing.
And you know what else was on the radio back then that was strange was, and I don't know who did it, but do you remember the Lord's Prayer? Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name, or something like that.
Yeah, it sounds familiar, but yeah.
And it was a song. It was like a top 40 pop song.
So it wasn't the musical score to Hair, was it? The Hair, the Broadway play?
No, it was after that.
That was Jesus Christ Superstar.
Mm-hmm.
Oh. No, I don't remember that.
I should have looked it up because I thought about that last night when you said you wanted to do the Queen thing.
Well, actually, you said you want to do the Queen thing, and I agreed
let's
with you.
not get it twisted here. You were the one that was like, "Hey, we haven't discussed Queen yet."
So, and I told Dylan yesterday. I said, Joe came up with a good idea. I said, let's do this. So Joe, this is your show. Tell us what.
Well,
I mean, besides the
yesterday
obvious.
I just got word that we were doing it.
Yeah. So besides the obvious, what made you come forward and say, hey, we need to talk about Queen?
I got a giant TV moved into my room, and I love to just sit there and watch concert videos on YouTube. So I looked up like just all kinds of stuff, and I watched a Queen video from the Royal Albert Hall from like '77, which was right before News of the World. So he had just cut his hair. You know, it wasn't like super short yet, but it was when he used to have long hair before that.
Yeah.
So it was a great show, and I listened to all these songs, and I'm just like, I'm amazed at a couple of things, all the hits that they had even in '77, and how heavy some of that music was.
Yeah, they took a lot from heavy metal even. Brian May wrote a song, I can't remember what it was, but it was like a heavy song, and they started playing it at all their live shows. It was kind of a signpost. They loved to play that live, and yeah, they really were. I mean, sure, they had a lot of cool, big jazz performance stuff, but they got heavy on a lot of their stuff, especially in the early days.
Yeah,
the 70s.
If you ask any metal band that's, you know, like guys Metallica, that they covered Stone Cold Crazy by Queen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But like all those metal bands that came out in like the 80s and 90s, they'll tell you that like Queen was a big influence on them.
Yeah. Even people like Tom York of Radiohead said that Brian May was a huge influence on him. He actually, whenever he was 10 years old, tried to build a guitar so that he could be like Brian May, because Brian May had built a guitar and stuff. So they have
that's a whole thing, because that gave Queen their sound, and that him and his dad built that guitar out of like firewood they had, and he played that guitar his whole career, and it has an original sound. Queen guitar sounds like no other band.
Yeah, you can't.
And oddly enough, it sounds very British. I don't know how he did that, but he made his guitar sound very British.
Or maybe it sounds British because Queen got so big, you know, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, remember their the little thing on all their albums that came out starting in probably in the early days, I'm not sure, but you saw it on every album you bought in the 70s, and it said on there the instruments, who played the instruments, who was percussion, who was the singer, who was the bass player, and at the bottom it said no synths. S-Y-N-T-H-S.
Yeah, no synthesizers were used.
No synthesizer.
Yeah.
So if you don't let your ears deceive you, that is a guitar. It's not a synthesizer, not a keyboard. They just want to make that known. I mean, because he was the only one really at the time, I guess, if you think about it, experimenting with that kind of stuff, experimenting with the sound. I mean, you know, Eddie came along afterwards, and even Eddie and Brian May did a record together.
I was thinking about that.
Yeah, 5 or 6 songs on it. I used to have it, and I kick myself in the side of the head every time I think about why I don't have it to this day. But yeah, it was a little EP. It had Phil Chen, the bass player from Rod Stewart. He was on the bass. Brian May on guitar. Eddie Van Halen, and it was called Stargazer. It was based off of a British, you know, like what are the Transformers type deal.
It was like early anime almost.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, but they did that record. But yeah, I mean, Brian was experimenting with guitar sounds back then. I mean, what can I do with this? How can I make this sound different? And it all came across. Every album had something a little bit different on it, and thanks to him, we got to experience all that no synths music. So I printed up I took some notes, I should say. I didn't print up a discography of Queen, and just kind of looking, because I can't recall every album. I do remember, and Joe and I grew up with Queen, so we know everything. Everything has a meaning to it. Everything has a memory to it. If I bring up an album or a song, I can tell you exactly where I was the first time I heard it, what city I was living in, what Air Force base, whatever you want to call it, what camper we were staying in at the time. I can tell you everything.
That sounded good.
Yeah, yeah. So
we lived on a campground for a while.
Yes, we did. So in '73, the first Queen album came out. Now that was before our time, obviously. I mean, I wouldn't listen to Queen then. We were in America. They were in England. We didn't know anything about them at the time. In 74, Queen 2 and Sheer Heart Attack both came out the same year. In 75 now, Night at the Opera comes out, and now they start becoming a little more Americanized. They're on tour in the United States. They're opening act for people. They're making a name for themselves in the States. And Night at the Opera came out.
And you know that Night at the Opera at the time was actually the most expensive album ever produced.
Yeah.
Too. It cost like £40,000, I think, to make the album.
Yeah.
Which is more than anything. I don't know what the current highest one is, but it's a lot of money, especially back then.
Well, Freddie was expensive. He was an expensive person to deal with. but the thing about Night at the Opera, we go back to talking about the different kinds of music, whether it was hard rock, or Brian May, whether it was whatever. So now you're talking about the drummer playing like the Walking in the Park song. What is that? On a rainy afternoon, on a sunny afternoon.
Lazing on a Sunday afternoon.
Lazing on a Sunday afternoon. So you're all these different kinds of music. And you know what? For me and Joe, or at least I'll speak for myself, I wanted to hear the hard rock stuff. I wanted to hear that. But once you put it on and start listening to it, you can't not listen to other stuff that's on there. You can't. You just have to. It's like it's part of it. It blends in together. It's over here, it's over here, and here's what I wanted in the middle. But all together, it comes together. It was very good stuff.
Do you remember that song the year of 39, or maybe it was just 39?
Yep.
And it was just like almost like a steady folk song or something.
Yeah, it was Brian.
And that was Sir Rick's favorite song on that record.
Oh, I did not know that. Why don't I know that?
Oh yeah, he used to love that song.
In the year,
which is weird because it's not like a hit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Brian May sang this. Brian May sang that one.
Yep.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, I thought of that because I was watching the concert and he sang it in concert, and made me think, oh, Rick liked that song. I remember that.
I think they still do that. I think that is a staple in the show, as well as Love of My Life has always been. Love of My Life has always been, whether it was Freddie or the new guy or whatever. Love of My Life has always been a staple in the show.
You would have liked the fact that one of the concerts had your favorite karaoke song. They did Saturday Night's All Right for Fighting by Elton John.
Really?
Yeah, it was really cool too. Freddie's playing piano on it.
That's cool.
I'd never heard that before. That's weird.
Well, Freddie and Elton John were fairly decent friends. I know before the Live Aid concert, they actually were talking quite a bit. And Freddie was like, oh, don't worry, we'll bring them back for you, Elton, because apparently Elton felt that he had lost the crowd. And then, of course, Queen goes out there and does probably one of the best performances ever known. And so I thought that was pretty funny.
Yeah, so after Night at the Opera, in 76, a year later, Day at the Races comes out. The Day at the Races is, it's another play on the album. So you got Night at the Opera, Day at the Races, Groucho Marx movies or Marx Brothers movies.
Yeah, Marx Brothers movies.
But same thing. A lot of different kinds of music, all on one album. Just gets us to know more and more about Queen. Every time we listen to a new album or all the music that's in there, we get to learn a little bit more about them. And like I said, it's very, very similar. It's your hard rock stuff, your acoustic stuff, your piano stuff, your whatever you want to call it. And then after that, in 77 came out the album that pretty much changed my world as far as Queen goes, and as far as by the time you listen to Night at the Opera and Day at the Races, you know what you're in for. So when you get news of the world, you don't dare take the needle off. You listen to every song from front to back, and it's all the same stuff.
Such a good album.
Such a good album, I mean, from front to back. And the story on that one is that what was it? We Will Rock You and We Are the Champions. So the story on that was that the radio stations were given We Will Rock You as a single. We Are the Champions was not supposed to be on the radio. Mm-hmm. And some guy either went to the bathroom or went and got a soda out of the machine and left the needle on too long. As soon as We Will Rock You went off, he went right into We Are the Champions, and he goofed up. And after that, it was like...
Those are the days of album rock radio.
Yeah, album rock. So he let the album go, and it went to the second song, and he made a mistake, whatever. But after that, everybody's like, yeah, you almost have to play those together. Well, and it's almost like they did it on purpose, because it's like literally a split second between there's no time to lift the needle up. Mm-hmm. So that was We Will Rock You, We Are the Champions, and that's what most people know that album for, but really what Joe and I know it for is all the other songs that are on there. Great, great, great songs.
Yeah, Sheer Heart Attack was like a straight rocker, and you got oh man, what was the song about the sleeping on the sidewalk?
Sleeping on the Sidewalk. I think that's another.
Going down the road.
Yeah. Who was the drum? What was the drummer's name?
Roger Taylor.
No, that was Brian May. Brian May did that.
Sleeping
one.
on the Sidewalk was Brian May.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought that was Roger Taylor.
No, he did. I'm in love with my car. Not on that album, but
yeah. And in the movie they make fun of him because of that. You're in love with your car? What is this? What is this rubbish? You're in love with your car. But if I was to pick that album out today and you said you can only play one song on the album, Mike, I would flip it over to side 2 and play Melancholy Blues, the very last song on side 2.
Yeah. And it is what it is. It's a melancholy song.
That's Freddie and his piano.
Great.
That's just Freddie and his piano sitting in a room, and it's got to be one of my favorite songs. And
it's got the brushes on the drums.
Yeah. Even though it's not a karaoke favorite, if it was on karaoke somewhere, I'd probably find myself up there doing Melancholy Blues.
Piano and all.
Yeah. Air piano. So then after that, 77, we're listening to News of the World. Joe and I are living on McConnell Air Force Base. Pretty soon we find ourselves moving to Louisiana. Now we're in Barksdale Air Force Base, and the album Jazz comes out. So Jazz is the one that has, Fat Bottom Girls?
Mm-hmm. And Bicycle Race.
Bicycle Race. Same thing, very, very good album, but you know what? They're starting to break away a little bit from their Day at the Races, News of the World. They're starting to become a little bit more commercial, more pop, which was fine with me because the songs are still great. They still hold up. Yeah, they're not experimenting as much. It's solid songwriting. It's your 4-minute songs, 5 on side 1, 5 on side 2. It's just a little bit different, but still good stuff. Jazz was a great album, and then.
Do you remember the poster inside of it?
Did it have the ladies on the bicycles?
They combined Fat Bottom Girls with Bicycle Race.
Yeah.
And had a poster of women riding bicycles naked, and all you could see were their butts.
Yeah. I do remember that. That's another one of those things.
Weird.
That's another one of those things that reminds me just how much stuff I don't have anymore that I used to have. So I had that. And I was thinking about it the other day on the Women and Children First album. I used to have the poster that came out of Women and Children First of David Lee Roth chained to a chain link fence.
That's sexy.
Why anybody would want that? Well, the girls would want it, but nowadays it's probably something that's in demand, and I don't have the dang thing anymore.
David Lee Roth probably wants one.
Yeah, so I'm sure he has it in his house somewhere.
It's in his bathroom.
Yeah.
It's on the back of his bathroom door. Yeah, all that stuff that came in the albums, we used to take them out and put them on the walls, or thumbtack them, or tape them, or something.
Everything.
Instead of just save them like we should have. We just saved everything.
Yeah, you never know till you know, though. But it's no fun to just save it. It's better to put it up on the wall, get some use out of it,
So we were living in Louisiana. We were down the street from Stan's record store. We used to ride our bicycles over to Stan's.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that.
Over on Airline Highway. And we went over there one day, and the double live album by Quen, Live Killers, came out. And that was the summer of 79.
Which has a really cool version of We Will Rock You on it.
Yeah.
I think it's the first song on there, and it's just a totally different version where it's just like guitar driven instead of like the beat.
Yeah, it's the fast version, which everybody was like, What? You can do that a different way? It's still Yeah.
It was the first song. Yeah, that was good. I like that.
Yeah, that's a good album, and it tried to capture all of the Quen live shows and of what it's like to see Quen live in concerts. Lots of pictures inside. The cover was really cool with all the different colored lights behind them as they were standing in front of the lights, probably taking their bow at the end of the show or whatever it was. But I remember those days as Quen being on tour. We lived in Louisiana. They probably came through Dallas, but we were 13, 14 years old, not too young to be going to anything like that. Mm-hmm. They didn't come to Shreveport. They may have at one time.
Yeah, they were too big.
Yeah, they were too. By then, they just got too big. they did. You know, you're right, Joe. They went from touring the United States, trying to make a name for themselves, opening from people, going back, coming back with these albums, and now guess what? They're headlining all the big places. So they didn't go from small to big like that. They went from small to big, like in our eyes, it was overnight. In their eyes, it's not. But, you know, really, ticket sales will tell you, and box sales will tell you, the arenas they played and the places they played, they jumped from here to here, just like that.
Yeah. They actually said, yeah, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was just gonna say they played a show and got booed off stage or something like that, or only 7 people showed up and they were getting heckled. It was in Australia, and they were like, next time we come back, Queen will be on top of the world. And of course, the next time they came back, they were playing stadiums. So.
Did they find those 7 people, round them up?
I hope so. I hope they had them tied up on the stage and they were like, now we're showing you.
I told
It's like the Pearl Jam. It's probably like the Pearl Jam show I saw in Phoenix, where everyone in Phoenix says they were there, but there was really only like 75 people there.
Yeah.
But everyone will tell you they were at that show.
That was the place to be. So in 1980, The Game comes out at the same year as the Flash Gordon soundtrack. So kind of a weird deal. The Flash Gordon was not my cup of tea. The movie, the character, I never was a Flash Gordon person. And so for the music to go into that movie, I mean, it's like more power to them, whatever. Soundtrack, I get it. But yeah, never was into the Flash Gordon thing. And that's kind of, to me, where things started taking a little bit of a turn. The Game was a good album. What did that have on it? Like Dragon Attack and...
Crazy Little Thing Called Love.
Oh, yeah, Crazy Little Thing Called Love. There you go. So, yeah.
Don't Try Suicide.
Crazy Little Thing Called Love. That is a Michael Lacey karaoke favorite. You can catch Mike doing that.
It's a banger.
You can do that. Catch Mike doing that around Wichita any night of the week.
Nice.
He likes.
I'd like to check that out.
Yeah, he likes Crazy Little Thing Called Love. And what's the Chris Isaac song? Oh, I don't want to fall.
I don't remember the name of that. I love that song, though.
Yeah, that's a Mike Lacey staple in karaoke. So, yeah, The Game came out. Good album. Flash came out. Weird. In 81 now, here's 81. So we're talking from 73, the first album, to 81. Now the Greatest Hits album comes out. Now this will be the first of many Greatest Hits albums.
Because they just kept rolling them out. It was always another Greatest Hits.
Yeah, the 81 Greatest Hits, I think, is probably the one that everybody should have in their catalog. That just basically tells you the story of what we've been talking about for the last 15, 20 minutes. It's everything. It's the best of everything they've ever done up to this point. And then after that, it's just kind of, they just, the Greatest Hits 1 and Greatest Hits 2 compilations, and there's even a Greatest Hits 3, and there's all these ones that came out with like 20 and 30 songs on it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's great and everything, but you can call it what you want to. It's not Greatest Hits necessarily. It's just great music. Great
music.
Yeah.
And I think the 1, 2, and 3 volumes of Greatest Hits got put into its own box set, so then it was just all the Greatest Hits, and then that ended up going like triple platinum or something like that. Some ridiculous amount of album sales on that triple Greatest Hits.
Yeah, why make $19 on each when you can make $75 on a box set?
Exactly.
Was their first album in 72 or 73?
Well, the Queen, the original Queen by itself, says 73.
Okay, so there's something I saw on YouTube that I thought of. So this is a 77 show. By then they put out 4 albums, from 73 through 77. Not more.
You had Queen, Queen 2, Sheer Heart Attack, Night at the Opera, Day at the Races was 76.
5 albums in 4 years. So during the concert, he says, "We're going to play an old one for you." I'm like, you've been around for 3 years, 4 years. Like, what do you mean old? But like, they put out so many albums because bands used to do that. They put out an album or 2 a year. They don't do that anymore. So now, if they came out in like 73 and in 77, they said, "We want to play an old one for you." Oh, that was 1 album ago. Well, yeah, this is one from our last album. Like
so that's what I was noting when I put all these albums down. So 73, 74, 75, 76, 77, 78, 79, the live album, 80, 81, 82 is Hot Space, and then in 83, there's a break. And you don't get another album until 84, which is The Works. So there was no album in 83, no album in 85. Up until then, there was an album every year, and sometimes two. In 74, it was Queen 2 and Sheer Heart Attack. So yeah, these guys were cranking them out, right?
Yeah,
songs.
they were machines. Yeah.
And that's what the record company expected. And in the meantime, they're going on.
Yeah, that's what you did.
Yeah. In the meantime, they're going on tour, you know. And the movie will show you, if you've seen the movie will show you that it just drove these guys to the edge. I mean, you become workaholics, you know. And in Freddie's case, you become every other kind of a holic there is.
Yeah, all the other holics.
Yeah.
You got, you know, alcoholic, drugaholic. I guess you could just say drug. I don't think drugaholic is really the right term for that.
Drug addict and sexaholic.
It's just
and,
an addiction.
You know, the guy
It's all addiction.
ends up getting AIDS and dying of AIDS of all things. You know, it's just like a, you know, back then it was Freddie. Freddie was like one of the only ones, right? I mean,
yeah,
rock
It's
stars.
Not a lot of people.
Yeah,
Yeah, like Rob Halford hadn't come out by then.
yeah.
You know,
I mean, yeah. When I found out Rob
sure,
Halford,
there's a lot we just don't even know about.
well, I guess my thing is not so much that we know about him; it's that who took care of themselves and who was being safe. Obviously, Freddie wasn't. Freddie was doing whatever he wanted to. He thought he could live forever. You know, I mean, how these other guys did what they did and got away with it. I mean, I don't know how it works. You know, I know that Magic Johnson's still alive to this day. Magic Johnson was not a homosexual, but he was doing things he shouldn't have done, and he got it in the heyday. That was in the heyday of AIDS. That was when everybody was like scared to death of it. We didn't know what it was. We didn't know how you got it. But here comes Magic, and he stands up and with his wife at the microphone and says he's got it and he's going to fight it the best he can. And the guy's still alive and kicking.
Yeah.
You know, gosh, I would, if I go back in time, I would give I'd give Magic Johnson's doctor Freddie's phone number and see if he can't help this guy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, there.
Now, I'm not sure how it worked, but when he didn't announce that he had AIDS, didn't he die like 2 weeks later or something?
It was 24 hours later. Yeah.
Jeez.
He had a predetermined statement that he released because he was on his deathbed and was just like, I know I'm going to die. Here it is. Here's what's happening.
I might be thinking of Eazy-E because I think when Eazy-E passed away, he announced it. Then like a week or two later, he died.
Yeah. So in the movie, I don't know how accurate the movie is, but in the movie, he tells the guys in the band, but then they keep it a secret or keep it under wraps. They can do the Wembley show. After that, he's doing solo albums and things like that. So if that's true, the guys in the band knew it a long time before that. And they did a great job of keeping it a secret or keeping it away from the press, so to speak, which I don't remember those days to be exact with you, but I'm sure the press was all over. It's like, why are you so skinny? Why do you look like this? Are you sick?
Yeah.
You know, I don't remember.
I think I saw the documentary on Behind the Music about that and how the press were trying to get at him and the band knew about it and they were just trying to get a record done before he, passed away. They ended up getting a record put together. They didn't really finish it before he passed, but they ended up being able to put one together after he had gone, enough vocals and stuff to put an album together.
So was that Innuendo?
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I got here in my notes. So I got The Works came out in 84, A Kind of Magic came out in 86, the same year that they did the Wembley show. That was not put on album and released until 92. But the Wembley show was spectacular. It's one of those that's going to go down in history. And then in 89 they put out The Miracle, and then the last album, of course, like you just said, was Innuendo, came out in February 91. And yeah, I can imagine that was patched together with his vocals weren't strong. I mean, he struggled to get things together for the for the Wembley show. I remember in the movie him struggling with getting his voice back. I mean, the combination of being out of practice, not his vocals aren't up to par, and now he's sick on top of that, and he's got to give one of the biggest and best performances of his life. A lot of pressure there, but he overcame it. And I mean, that's a great movie. The Bohemian Rhapsody is a great movie. One of my favorite parts of it is, and I even got Sandy to appreciate this, is at the end when he does the Wembley show, the guy that plays Freddie Mercury, he plays it to the T. I'm talking about the Pepsi on the piano. I'm talking about every little thing he does, every move, because when it's over, you can go to YouTube and pull it up, and it's like you're watching the same exact thing.
Yeah.
And they did just such a great job with recreating the crowd and all that stuff and what it was like that day. But he pulled that off, and then some of the stuff there at the end, man, when he was sick and he was just doing the best he could before he finally just called it quits and wouldn't show up in the spotlight or the camera anymore. Really drawn in, really skinny, really pale, really sick, and it's just a terrible disease. I'm glad that we've come as far as we've come in this day and age, and we've kind of found not a cure so much as there is just a way to help people live with it and survive and not go through that kind of stuff.
Exactly.
If you can ask for help, the help's out there. And we got a long ways to go on a lot of other diseases out there, but that's one that we had no idea what it was. I'm not going to compare it to COVID or anything like that, but there's other diseases out there that we're still trying to. How do we cure this? Alzheimer's is one of them. How do we cure this? Where's the money come from? Until it hits you directly, that's when you become involved. So if you know somebody in your family that's got AIDS, those are the people 20, 30, 40 years ago that got involved, that did the quilts, that did the marches, that did all that kind of stuff. So, rest in peace, Freddie Mercury. Thank you for everything you gave us. Thank you for the band that you helped that was already there before you joined them and you turned them into something spectacular. I mean, what a legacy he left behind. What a legacy the band still to this day plays. Mm-hmm. As soon as this COVID thing is over, I'm sure they'll be back on tour. I love the new singer. I was telling Dylan yesterday, talk about landing a dream job.
Yeah, no, just being like, I sing for Queen now. No big deal.
I used to be on American Idol.
Yeah, but now I'm in Queen.
Joe, thanks for bringing up the topic, brother. I appreciate that. Is Joe froze?
Yeah, we might have lost Joe.
Oh, Joe's frozen.
Well,
okay.
Thank you, Joe. We'll get back to you whenever we can.
Thank you, Josephus, a.k.a. Gypsy Joe.
And with that, guys, thanks for hopping on another episode of Rockapedia.
All right.
We'll catch you next Tuesday, 10 a.m.
Yes, everybody. Thank you. I'm Music Man Mike. That's Dylan, the producer. That's Frozen Josephus up there. And we'll see you later. Adios.